This is not about Donald Trump. Wake up and grow up. This is not about Donald Trump. You had better wake up and realize this is about you. They are coming for you. And when they do, you can't stop them. Who's they? What's going on? What was I talking about then? Well, we'll get to Congressman Jim Jordan here in a couple minutes about the latest and worst coming out of the government. But just remember what we've been talking about. We talked about it again last night. Our own government, your government, my government, it is turned against us. It views us, you, me, as the biggest enemy of this country. And they intend to treat us as we have treated enemies of the state in the past. You look at the things America has done to radical jihad, Nazi Germany, whatever it may be. These people speak about you the same way they spoke about them. All this MAGA this and MAGA that.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. The MAGA Republicans don't just threaten our personal rights and economic security. They're a threat to our very democracy.
Extreme MAGA Republicans don't want the children of America to learn about the Holocaust.
While MAGA Republicans are fixated on their extremist agenda.
And sadly, so many of those extremists, those MAGA extremists, take their marching orders from Donald Trump. And when do they break with him? You know, because at some point, you know, maybe there needs to be a formal deprogramming of the cult members.
You understand how unprecedented and dangerous this is? At no other point in America's history have politicians over and over and over again demonized the voters of the other guy. They always demonize the other guy. He's the Antichrist. That's not new at all. Now it has become the norm. And now it's filtered down into our intelligence agencies. And the federal government is flagging you if you buy a Bible? What does that mean? Joining me now, Congressman Jim Jordan, House Judiciary Chairman. Congressman, okay, you broke the news yesterday. Terms like MAGA are being flagged by the government, buying a Bible, going to Bass Pro Shop. I think a lot of people's eyes about popped out of their skull yesterday when you were reporting on all this. First, can you tell us, what does that mean, flagged? What does that mean?
Well, it's financial surveillance. You got banks searching their customers' transactions, looking for searching for key terms. All at the suggestion, the request of the federal government. Now, some of this relates to, based on the initial documents we got, looks like it relates to January 6th. And we had one document talk about a 60-day rolling look back. And then they're looking at if any of these online purchases were done with where there's some kind of description. They use the word MAGA, Trump. But also if they were just buying things like firearms, if they're buying them at Dick's Sporting Goods, Cabela's, Bass Pro Shop. There was even a reference in there to purchasing religious texts, all under the guise of, if you're doing this, they were developing a profile on people saying that they were potentially domestic violent extremists. So you step back and you think about it. You buy a gun, you buy a Bible. That's First and Second Amendment protected activity, not to mention the Fourth Amendment. The big government is urging banks to give them that information because they want to what? Surveil you, spy on you, develop a profile on you. It's really troubling, but we're just at the front end of this. It's just the initial documents we got. So we're going to be issuing subpoenas, getting more information from the banks and from people in the government, particularly the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network in the Treasury called the FinCEN in the Treasury Department of the government as well.
Congressman, I'm glad you're all over this, and I'm glad you keep digging this stuff up. Something that concerns me greatly is how brazen these people are with this stuff. You talk a lot about the FBI memo, about infiltrating Catholic churches. It looks like there's nothing these people won't do.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up, Jesse, because the initial documents we've got on this issue, they read exactly like that memorandum in the Richmond field office of the FBI, where they were saying, if you're a pro-life Catholic, traditional Catholic, you're an extremist, you're a potential domestic violent extremist. they read exactly like that document. And remember what the FBI told us. They said, oh, that was a one-off. That just happened in Richmond. Well, we found out actually it was broader than just the Richmond field office. And now we see where it looks like it's the Treasury Department, the Homeland Security Department, and potentially the Justice Department all involved in this surveillance effort with big banks. So, and in between all that, we spent the last year, frankly, particularly the Select Committee on the Weaponization of Government, we spent the last year looking at the censorship issue where it was big government, big media, big tech, big academia, all working together to censor American speech. And now we find out it's big government working with big corporations to financially surveil Americans, purchase and business transactions.
How do we defund these people? How do we stop them? I know there's a big government funding argument right now, and we don't have to go into the details of that, but are we really going to just keep handing them money to keep abusing the American people?
But you do a couple things. One, you draw attention to it. Just that sometimes can change behavior. I always point to the fact that the IRS announced like 5 months ago that they will no longer be making unannounced visits to American citizens' homes. And the commissioner of the IRS said, we're doing this to protect our agents, for their safety, the safety of our agents. And like baloney, they're doing it because we caught him knocking on Matt Taibbi's door when he's testifying in front of our committee. The Department of Homeland Security, we made a big deal when we discovered that there was a disinformation governance board at the Department of Homeland Security, and they've discontinued that. So part of it's just like this sort of whack-a-mole. You draw attention to it, and you can stop it. But in the end, we're going to have to say, hey, you can't get the money. You can't use taxpayer money to then take that money and turn around and go after the very taxpayers who are funding you. So we are going to have to, use the power of the purse to deal with them as well, and then propose legislation. We're legislators. That's our business. So we need to do that as well. Some consequences for these people who violate fundamental liberties of the American people.
Where do we stand on Joe Biden's crimes? Obviously, there's all kinds of evidence out there. We have Hunter Biden's subpoena, not showing up, doing a press conference. Where does all this stuff stand? I know it's a razor-thin majority. I'm not hopeful at all he actually gets impeached, but you never know.
Well, we're proceeding with our impeachment inquiry with Kevin Morris, the guy who, spent like almost $5 million of his money in helping Hunter Biden, who bought a bunch of Hunter Biden's artwork. So we're deposing him. Next week, we have Rob Walker, one of Hunter Biden's business partners, and Eric Schwerin is coming in the week after that, another one of his business partners. And then we have Jim Biden and Hunter Biden, who we expect to come in next month as well. We've been in negotiations with Abbe Lowell after the committees, both the Judiciary Committee and the Oversight Committee held Hunter Biden in contempt for him not showing up for the deposition back in December. We held him in contempt last week. Since that vote in the committees, Hunter Biden's counsel has reached out to our chief counsel on the Oversight or on the Judiciary Committee, and we continue to negotiate. We think he's coming in, and I think we're going to know more by this afternoon when in fact that day may be. But we're just going to continue to do our work, and then we'll make a decision on whether we move forward with actual articles of impeachment.
Speaking of impeachment, Alejandro Mayorkas, not that I think impeaching him is going to secure the border, but is there anything we can do to force Democrats to secure the border? They very clearly don't want to. They want the border open. It's not an accident. It's not a whoopsie. They do this on purpose. So can we force them to actually protect our country?
We're trying, but you're exactly right. This is deliberate, willful, intentional. They did it from the get-go. So we'll keep making the case. I actually think in some ways it could be a simple sentence. No money can be used to process or release into the country any new migrant. Basically, you just say stop. Suspend entry into the country right now. It's so bad. We're on pace. The magnitude of this problem is we're on pace in the Biden administration, in his term, to reach 12 million migrants coming in the country. I told someone the other day that that's the equivalent of the entire population of my home state, the state of Ohio. We're the 7th largest state in the country. 12 million people coming in a 4-year time frame. That's never happened. So that's the pace we're on. I don't think they want to change it because they intentionally did it in the first place. Why administration would do that to the American people, I don't know. But that's where they are. So we can't give in on this Ukraine deal with pretend border that's been talked about. I just don't see that happening one way. We should not be for that. We should be for something that actually secures the border. Short of that, I think we're going to have to wait until President Trump's in the White House and he can secure the border like he did just 3 years ago.
Congressman, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Jesse.